You notice it the way you notice most things with a bearded dragon. Gradually, then all at once. At first, it is just something you register in the background of your day. The dragon is over by the glass again, facing the corner again, sitting completely still, head up, eyes fixed on something that from your perspective is nothing at all, a wall, a blank surface, empty space. You watch for a minute and nothing changes. The body does not move. The eyes do not blink. The head stays locked in the same position with the particular quality of stillness that bearded dragons have, the kind that makes them look less like living animals and more like very detailed statues of themselves. You go back to whatever you were doing. The dragon is still there an hour later, still facing the same direction, still watching something you cannot see. The first instinct for most owners is to dismiss it. Bearded dragons do strange things. They are strange animals. Sitting and staring is probably just something they do. The second instinct, if it keeps happening, if it becomes a pattern you notice every day, is to go looking for answers and find the ones that are easiest to find. Glass surfing, boredom, wanting to get out. And those answers are not wrong exactly, but they are incomplete in ways that matter, because wall staring in bearded dragons is not one behavior. It is at least 5 different behaviors that look identical from the outside and have completely different causes, different meanings, and in 2 of the 5 cases, different urgency levels that most owners never correctly identify because the behavior itself looks so passive, so harmless, so easy to file away as just a quirky reptile thing. Welcome to Reptile Realities. Subscribe before you keep watching, because this channel goes past the easy answers into the biology that actually explains what you are seeing, and the last section of this video covers a wall staring pattern that presents as calm, almost meditative stillness and is one of the most reliable behavioral indicators of a neurological problem that owners miss for months because it looks like nothing at all. Stay through to the end. Tonight, we are going into what is actually happening when your dragon stares at the wall for hours. What the visual system of a bearded dragon is doing that yours is not. What each distinct version of this behavior means. What the enclosure is telling the animal that makes it respond this way. And when the wall staring stops being a behavior and becomes a symptom. Number 1. What a bearded dragon is actually seeing that you are not. Before you can understand why your dragon stares at walls, you need to understand that the dragon is not seeing the same wall you are seeing. Its visual system is processing the environment around it in a way that is so different from human vision that the word seeing barely covers the same activity when applied to both species. Bearded dragons have 4 types of cone photoreceptors in their retinas. Humans have 3. That additional receptor type gives bearded dragons sensitivity to ultraviolet light, specifically the UVA range, which is invisible to the human eye entirely. The world your dragon sees is not just your world with a different filter over it. It contains an entire channel of visual information that you are biologically incapable of perceiving without instruments. What this means practically is that the blank wall your dragon is staring at is not blank to the dragon. Surfaces that appear uniform to human eyes reflect ultraviolet light in patterns that are visible to UV-sensitive eyes. Dust, cleaning residue, variations in paint or substrate, reflections from windows at certain angles, the ultraviolet output of the basking lamp falling on a surface, all of these create a visual landscape on that wall that may be complex, shifting, and genuinely interesting to an animal with the visual hardware to see it. Your dragon is not staring at nothing. It is staring at something you cannot see. This does not mean every instance of wall staring is explained by UV perception. but it means the starting assumption that the dragon is oriented toward a blank and featureless surface, and therefore must be responding to something internal rather than external, is wrong. The surface is not blank. You simply lack the hardware to see what is on it. This matters because it changes the first question you should ask when you see the behavior. Not what is wrong with my dragon, but what is my dragon seeing that I am not? And is that thing something I have put there intentionally or something I have put there without knowing it? Number 2, glass surfing, reflection confusion, and what the enclosure is doing to your dragon's sense of reality. There is a specific version of wall staring that escalates into what is commonly called glass surfing, the behavior where a dragon presses against the front glass and moves laterally along it, scratching at the surface, trying to move through it. This behavior is well documented and well discussed in the reptile keeping community. What is less well understood is the specific perceptual experience driving it, and how that experience connects to the stationary wall staring that often precedes or alternates with the surfing. Bearded dragon enclosures are almost always enclosed on 5 sides and transparent on 1. The transparent side, the front glass, does something that neither you nor the dragon fully account for. It reflects, not perfectly, not like a mirror, but enough. Enough that under certain lighting conditions, typically when the interior of the enclosure is significantly brighter than the room outside it, the front glass produces a reflection of the interior that the dragon can see superimposed on the view of the room beyond. The dragon sees in that glass something that looks like another bearded dragon, or more precisely, something that activates the same neural circuits that another bearded dragon would activate. It moves when the dragon moves. It stays still when the dragon stays still. It is always present, always at the same distance, always responding to every gesture with perfect synchrony. It never leaves. It never resolves into something non-threatening. It is just there, on the other side of what should be open space, being whatever the dragon's social brain decides it is. The wall staring that precedes glass surfing is frequently the dragon in an assessment phase. It has detected the presence in the glass, it is processing it, deciding what it is, what threat level it represents, whether the situation requires display or submission or investigation. The stillness looks like emptiness. It is not emptiness. It is focused, intense social processing directed at a reflection that the animal has no cognitive framework to correctly identify as a reflection. Covering the lower portion of the exterior of the front glass, or repositioning the primary light source to reduce reflective conditions often resolves both the wall staring and the surfing within days. Not because you have distracted the dragon, because you have removed the stimulus that was driving a sustained social stress response the animal had no way to resolve on its own. Number 3, the territorial wall stare and what your dragon is mapping. Bearded dragons in the wild are territorial animals, not in the aggressive, constantly patrolling way of some reptiles, but in the sense that they maintain a defined home range. They know its boundaries, and they monitor those boundaries as part of their daily behavioral routine. The monitoring happens through visual scanning, long periods of stillness in elevated positions with a clear sightline across the territory, watching for anything that crosses the boundary or presents itself as a challenger. In captivity, this territorial monitoring behavior does not disappear because the territory is a glass box. The dragon still has the neural architecture for it. The drive to occupy an elevated position and scan the environment with patient, sustained visual attention is built into the behavioral repertoire of the species. It runs whether or not the environment makes it productive. What you are watching when your dragon sits at the back of the enclosure, elevated on a log or a rock, and stares at the same section of wall or the same corner for long periods, may be exactly this: territorial monitoring applied to an environment that is too small and too enclosed to offer any real territory to monitor. The behavior runs. The information it generates is insufficient or repetitive. The dragon keeps running it anyway because the drive is not contingent on the behavior being rewarding. This version of wall staring is not a welfare emergency, but it is information about the quality of the environmental enrichment you are providing. A dragon that spends large portions of its day in territorial monitoring mode in an enclosure that offers nothing to monitor is a dragon with a significant enrichment deficit. Introducing visual complexity inside and outside the enclosure, objects at different heights, rearrangements of the internal landscape on a periodic basis, a view of a room with varied activity rather than a blank wall. All of these give the monitoring behavior something to work with, reducing the hours-long blank wall sessions by giving the animal an environment that is actually worth watching. Number 4, brumation onset, and the wall stare that is really a slowdown. There is a seasonal version of the sustained stillness and apparent wall fixation that catches owners off guard every autumn and early winter, and it is one of the most commonly misread behavioral changes in bearded dragon keeping. As the days shorten and the light hours decrease, the bearded dragon's hormonal system reads those cues and begins preparing for brumation, the period of reduced metabolic activity that wild dragons enter during the cooler, shorter day months of the Australian winter. The preparation phase for brumation looks, from the outside, strikingly similar to illness. The dragon slows down, it eats less or stops eating entirely. It sleeps more. It spends long periods completely motionless in corners or against walls, seemingly unresponsive to the environment around it, uninterested in food, uninterested in handling, oriented toward surfaces and spaces with a fixed and distant quality that owners read as vacancy or distress. This is not vacancy. This is a metabolic and neurological downshift being orchestrated by a hormonal system responding to photoperiod cues exactly as it evolved to respond to them. The dragon is not sick. It is not depressed. It is not bored. It is doing something extraordinarily precise and biologically sophisticated. It is preparing its physiology for a period of dramatically reduced metabolic demand, adjusting its digestive rate, its immune activity, its hormonal baseline, getting ready for a seasonal state that its ancestors have entered every year for millions of years. The wall staring during brumation onset is part of the behavioral shutdown. The animal is not engaging with its environment because it is in the process of disengaging from its environment in a controlled, programmed way. Trying to re-engage it, offering food insistently, increasing handling, adding stimulation to pull it out of the slowdown is working against a biological process that the animal needs to complete on its own terms and timeline. What brumation staring looks like versus illness staring. A brumating dragon that you pick up is alert. The eyes track. The grip is present. The animal responds to handling normally, even if it is less active than usual. A sick dragon that is staring at walls may have a weak grip, may not track visually, may feel different in your hands, lighter, more rigid, or more limp than normal, may have visible physical symptoms alongside the behavioral ones. The eyes of a brumating dragon are clear and present. The eyes of an ill dragon are often not. Number 5. The wall stare that is a neurological symptom. This is the section you stayed for. This is the one that looks most like nothing and is most often something. There is a presentation in bearded dragons that is described in reptile veterinary literature as stargazing, and it is exactly what it sounds like. The animal tilts its head back and fixes its gaze upward, or orients its head and body toward a fixed point above the horizontal, staring at the ceiling or at the upper portions of the wall with a sustained, rigid quality that looks different from normal visual fixation if you know what you are looking for. The neck may be arched backward. The animal may seem unable to right itself normally if placed on a flat surface, rolling or tilting rather than standing level. Stargazing is a neurological symptom. It indicates central nervous system involvement. The causes include viral infection, specifically adenovirus, which is endemic in captive bearded dragon populations at rates that most owners are not aware of. It includes adenovirus, sometimes called wasting disease, which attacks the nervous system and produces progressive neurological symptoms, of which stargazing and fixed wall orientation are among the earliest and most consistent. It includes thiamine deficiency, which affects neural function and produces motor and orientation abnormalities. It includes physical trauma to the head or spine that produces neurological sequelae. What makes this presentation so easy to miss is that in its early stages, it is subtle. The dragon is not seizing, it is not paralyzed, it is not showing the dramatic symptoms that register as emergencies. It is sitting quietly, oriented toward the upper wall or ceiling, holding a position that is only slightly abnormal. Owners see the stillness, note that the dragon seems calm, and file it under the same category as ordinary wall staring. The behavior continues, the condition progresses. By the time the neurological symptoms become unmistakable, the disease is further along than it needed to be. The distinguishing features to watch for: the angle of the head is higher than normal resting position. The orientation is consistently upward rather than horizontal. The animal seems unable or unwilling to level its head when placed on a flat surface, and the behavior is new, meaning it represents a change from the animal's baseline rather than a long-standing pattern. Any wall staring that involves consistent upward head tilt, any loss of the normal righting reflex, any rolling or tilting when placed on a flat surface, any tremor or twitching alongside the stillness is neurological until a vet tells you otherwise. It is not a wait-and-see situation. It is a this-week situation. The wall your dragon stares at is not the point. The wall is just where the behavior becomes visible to you. What is happening behind the behavior, what is driving the orientation and the stillness and the sustained fixed gaze, is different every time. And the difference matters more than most owners realize until it has mattered for a long time without them knowing. Your dragon cannot tell you it is seeing ultraviolet patterns on the plaster. It cannot tell you that the reflection in the glass has been stressing it for 3 months. It cannot tell you that the days feel shorter and its body is preparing for something ancient and necessary. It cannot tell you that something in its nervous system has shifted and the world no longer looks the way it used to. It can sit very still and look at the wall. It has been doing that every day in a language you are only now learning to read. Now you know how to read it. Tell me in the comments how your dragon stares. Which direction, which time of day, how long, and whether anything in the room or the enclosure seems to trigger it. Tell me the details and let us figure out together what your animal is actually looking at. I read every one. See you in the next video.